I've been waiting for you, Mr. Winters.
How do you know my name?
Anyone who is anyone has heard of the likes of you.
Okay, so the Duke. The Duke is one I can not really explain through backstory. There is a lot of mystery around this character, a lot of theories, and that's kind of the angle I'm going to go at him today. We'll obviously mention some things in-game that may suggest certain things, but it's mainly theory drafting, so we'll get into the biggest theories now and just discuss them in general, because there really isn't a lot of backstory to go off of. So first off, the Duke is obviously the merchant in the game. You know, he helps Ethan with weapons, ammo, healing, and all the usual merchant type things. On top of that, he has a lot of information. He seems to know everything that's going on beforehand. One thing I really like about him is if you clear an area, for example, if you just finished the dollar area, he already has one of the dolls from the house already. Like, how do you get it? Also, if you go through Moreau's area, I believe, he has a Cadeau jar with him already. It's very mysterious on how he actually gets hold of these things. He also seems to already know how the Lords think and what they usually do. He knows everything about them but doesn't outright say it. He already knows that Rose is indeed now in separate crystals in flasks, which is weird. He seems to know a lot of things ahead of time. There's actually a line, one of the final lines between him and Ethan in the game is Ethan asks him, like, who or what are you exactly? And even the Duke can't explain it to him. Like, he doesn't even know himself. Which is where the theories come into it, which is pretty interesting. There's a few good ones out there that are pretty solid. And we're going to go over those now, because again, there's not really a lot of backstory to go off of. Okay, so the first of these mainline kind of theories is that the Duke is in fact part of a fifth house in the game. Just for context, houses being Dimitrescu, Cosenberg, Moreau, and Beneviento. He might be part of a fifth, more powerful one that is kind of like the overseer of everything that goes on in the village. And not even just the village, in that general kind of territory. We don't know if that's true, but that would be a nice idea. Personally, I would say that one's probably not the case. I do feel like the four houses and then Miranda being above them makes more sense. But this is still a nice idea. It could definitely be something they would introduce as DLC if they wanted to, and have like a fifth house that's much more powerful. But at the same time, the village is now destroyed. So it would again have to be prequel stuff, which is what most of the DLC, if it was going to be about characters from Village, will probably be. But still, interesting idea. The next one is a bit more believable, and this is the fact that the Duke could be a failed experiment again of Miranda's. There's a possibility that the parasite did kind of bond with him, but he had more dominance over it, and he was way too powerful for her to deal with, so she just kind of let him do his own thing. Could be a possibility. There's a lot of hints that the Duke is a lot more powerful than the game gives off. This is a small kind of thing, but apparently through testing, obviously you can shoot him, it doesn't do anything. You can throw grenades at him, it doesn't do anything. Obviously, the game's not going to let you kill him. Obviously in Resident Evil 4 you get the choice, but in this game, it's a bit different. But that, people do kind of lead that to the fact that he might be some kind of immortal, or something like that. Again, very interesting idea, and I do think that's much more likely than the first one. But the third one is a very interesting one. So this last huge theory is that the Duke isn't a lord. He isn't some kind of parasite, mutant whatever kind of thing. That he's in fact part god. And a lot of that is kind of tied to kind of his general aesthetic, you know, how he knows things basically ahead of time all the time, the fact that he can't die being a thing, as well as some of the kind of imagery in his cabin and all the paintings and stuff on the walls he has in there do kind of symbolise, apparently, I haven't really seen any proof of it yet, but do symbolise some older gods, so maybe he is kind of like a part god type character. It's more interesting than believable, but, you know, it's definitely an interesting kind of idea. Now, of course, these are all theories, and obviously let me know which one you think is more believable, but me personally, I think he's maybe not a god, but also maybe not just someone who's been afflicted by the Cadeau and stuff like that. Maybe he is of some kind of higher power. Obviously, he's been in the village for a very long time. He's been there for a while. That is some of the kind of main backstory we get, that he has been around a while. Obviously, Miranda is quite old herself, so maybe he's been around that long. Same as Dimitrescu and stuff like that. Dimitrescu and him have had kind of business meetings in the past. I believe he supplies her with certain things. But the fact that he doesn't actually know who he is or what he is interesting. The fact that he has no real connection to Miranda, he doesn't mention her personally. He just kind of mentions her in conversation. Same with the other ones, he doesn't really seem to have that close of a connection with them. So it is a possibility that he's a lot higher up in terms of, you know, mysteriousness, powerfulness and stuff like that. In the terms of will he return, I think he might. I think he might be prominent in DLC. It will be interesting to see if you do play as any of the villagers in the DLC, if he does interact with them at all, because obviously they all kind of meet their end pretty early on, before the Duke's even introduced to the game. So it will be interesting to see if they actually recognise him or have some kind of interaction with him. But that's basically going to be it. You know, there's not a lot to go off of, it's all very shrouded in kind of theories and mystery. Will he return in a future game? Maybe, who knows, we'll see, of course. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Duke down below. Do you like the character? Do you think he'll return? I'm always interested to know. And if there's any information I missed, do let me know as well. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.